Chair, judges, speakers, guests. I don't know whether judges are in the right place there. Who's more important? The speakers, the guests, or the chair? Anyway, I digress, which is a bad start, isn't it? I was a bit confused at the start of this speech because I didn't know what it was about. I got into it and thoroughly enjoyed the way it was picked up with humour, and it was exceptionally well delivered. But I didn't know what it was about. So the basic flaw, as I was concerned, I thought, well, I must have not been listening when they announced what the title was. I missed the title. Or was it not announced? I still don't know. But I know it affected my hearing of the speech. But I'll come back to that. The speech was well delivered. The speaker stood with absolute comfort at the lectern. And public speaking is all about being comfortable and looking comfortable. Not necessarily being comfortable, but looking comfortable. And the speaker was. I thought he made a very quick start. He came to the lectern and immediately flew off at a fairly fast pace, which became at some points a very fast pace. And that will probably, which I will mention at the end, be my major criticism of the speech. It was very, very fast. Content-wise, it was well constructed, it was a good story, verging on the excessive narrative, but it was a story, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I got the message. There was plenty of humour to point out the issues of, connecting with your first girlfriend and establishing what she liked and what you liked and what you did and what she did, and it really came together, and it was very, very funny. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to it, and I was entertained by it. There was an awful lot of gesture, particularly with the left hand, which seemed to be sort of waving at me quite a lot, when the right hand wasn't involved as well. There was just an awful lot of waving and hand pushing, and at some point, when inviting the girlfriend to his flat on the first occasion, the gesture was, hang on, that's going the wrong way. That threw me a little bit. And at that point, I still wasn't sure what it was about, because I hadn't registered, as we did right at the end, what the title was. Use of voice was perfect. The I do in the middle was interesting to break up the speed and the pitch and the volume of the speech. That was very well done. Vocabulary wise and possibly word picture, pass the port to the left, right, fine, good. Giving us Stradivarius to Grilla, funny, yes, nice use of phrase. Campanologist ringing the changes, again, cliches, but nice, appropriate, and it fitted in quite well. As far as the notes were concerned, use of notes, I wasn't aware very much of notes being used, and when they were used between speaking rather than whilst speaking, which is a very, very powerful plus point. Humour, clock, clean underpants, Klingons, maybe a little bit not appropriate, but nevertheless, well received. And that is possibly the biggest plus point of the whole speech. It was well received by the audience. They were locked in, they were enjoying it, and that's what it was all about. It was set up to entertain, set up to amuse, and it worked. But generally, I would think it showed that it was well rehearsed, it was beautifully delivered, well delivered, apart from quite possibly the arm waving. And those are the two issues that I would sort of mention. It was a little bit too fast for me. There was gestures which were becoming almost mannerisms because they were too powerful. And the final bit of advice to the speaker is not necessarily about his delivery or his speech, it's to make sure the chairman announces your title before you start. Thank you.